Bahrain on row 14. Jake Craig and Thomas Stranava, row 15, complete the top 30. Kwok Jing Chan of Hong Kong, Jackie Chan, is on row 16 with Martin Ellegard. Michalis Dimitriou of Cyprus and Ricky Donison of India, row 17. Kim Yang To from South Korea and Dan Roper from the United States of America completing the grid. Well, Ashley Rogero from the United States started stone last on 36th place in the previous race. She drove up to 15th. Can fellow Florida State driver Dan Roper do something similar? He starts stone last in this one. Can he drive himself into a healthy finishing position to help guarantee qualification for the next stage of the racing? There is the said Dan Roper, top of your screen at the bottom end of the grid, bottom end of the assembly area, if you will. Pascaligis is the photographer in the centre of your screen, looking over Dan Roper's left shoulder, and he's the last to set off because he starts last. Hi to my friends in the United States, if you tuned in. It's a strange time in the morning if you're in Florida where Dan Roper comes from. It's 7 in the morning now, but I know some of you have been setting the alarm for early starts. Ashley Rogero, who had nothing to show for all of yesterday's racing, has given herself a fighting chance with her race in the previous one. As I said moments ago, can Dan Roper do something similar himself? He's better placed than Ashley had got points on the board from yesterday's 2 heats. Well, Carlos Gil, starting on pole position, had a 3rd place finish yesterday. He also had a 2nd place finish. That's pretty handy, pretty useful. But alongside him, Bruno Bolido had 2 starts and 2 wins. Off row 2, Zach Clement de Mello of Canada had 2 2nd places, so he's nicely placed. Overall, starts on the outside of row 2. You see him there in cart 213. In front of him, 211. The unbeaten thus far, Bruno Bolido, bottom left of your screen. Carlos Gil on pole is from Spain, Bruno Bolido from Portugal, so the Iberian Peninsula well represented in this one. 8 laps, do we get a clean start? We're looking for one. And we are racing, and that's a good clean break. Carlos Gil got the early advance. Oh, and some touching already, and Bruno Bolido lost out a little bit on that little bit of a collision. I think that's him in 2nd place. It's certainly Carlos Gil in the lead as our camera pans very wide. Yes, Carlos Gil, cart 269, is in the lead. 211 Bruno Bolido. Again, drivers having to take the shortcut, which 1 is understandable, but 2 creates massive problems when they rejoin the tarmac. Out of your shot on screen, we've got drivers having come together, but let's stay with the views that we do see. Confirmation that Carlos Gil and Bruno Bolido are still 1 and 2 and have pulled away a little bit. Well, excuse me, Carlos Bolido has pulled away from Bruno Bolido, and Bruno Bolido pulled away a little bit. I think that might have been Chris Dryspringer I saw, as well as Zach Clement de Mello. Not 100% sure about that, but that's definitely Carlos Gil, definitely being followed by Bruno Bolido. Glances over his shoulder in 3rd place. That is, as we no, that's Oliver Askew, isn't it, in the white suit? Oliver Askew from the United States of America running 3rd. Arvo Talvar went through 4th. Matthew Kinsman 5th. Johan Alvarez 6th. Abdullah Al Rawahi 7th. Jack Bartholomew 8th. Jakob Kajlak 9th, and Philip Arscott makes it 2 United States drivers in the top 10. Well, Josh Price started well forward, but he's one of the drivers who was caught in that problem. Nikolai Rogiviu of Switzerland was another, and the Korean Kim Yong-tae also. So not circulating, Josh Price, Nikolai Rogiviu and Kim Yong-tae. Drivers that are circulating, Carlos Gil in a comfortable lead, is a quarter of a second lead, pursued by the previously unbeaten Bruno Bollido, and getting closer to them in third place, that was Oliver Askew. This is the lower end of the top 10, and outside of the top 10 as well, some really good racing drivers in there. I think Jack Bartholomew picked up a couple of places from 8th to 6th. Matthew Kinsman I saw going forward, he's now in 5th place I do believe. Philip Arscott has gone forward a place, I think running 9th now. Just trying to have a look at the losers. Abdullah Al-Tawadi of Bahrain. No, Abdullah Al-Rawahi of Oman, and the United Arab Emirates is 7th. Up into second place now, Oliver Askew from the United States of America. He's gone past the previously unbeaten Bruno Bollido. If Bruno Bollido was to finish third, coupled to his 2 first places from yesterday, it'd still be sitting fairly pretty when we looked at the starting grid for the pre-final. But you don't want to finish on a defeat out of the heats, do you? This is Carlos Gil of Spain. Entrant is Karting Vendrell. He's from a town of a similar name. Good to see the host nation producing competitive drivers. Oliver Askew disqualified from his first race, so looking down the barrel of a shotgun when he came out yesterday afternoon, but delivered the goods yesterday afternoon with a good drive, and so far going well here. When I say a good drive, it was actually a victory in his second one. And into first place goes the aforesaid Oliver Askew. Well, I'm frequently accused, justifiably, of putting the commentator's curse on drivers, but having spoken about Oliver Askew, he now takes the lead. The world number 3 could well have been the world champion last year, but massive misfortune having him to start way down the field, but he came from way down the field to finish third. The world number 3, entered by the Max Speed Group, as you saw on caption there, takes the lead. Was quite sporting about it when he was chucked out, if that's not a fairly uncouth way of saying it. Disqualified, picked up a DQ, but shrugged his shoulders and said, well, I'm going to have to get on with it from there. Standings then at the half race distance, Oliver Askew in the lead. And Oliver Askew just building on that lead, isn't he? This is in the complex within the infield. The Serpentine, the balloon, sweeping out onto the back straight, which is one of the faster parts of the circuit. The gentle right-hander down to the sideways straight, then into the chicane. That produces a much slower pace, and on to complete the lap and start the next lap. Oliver Askew's margin over Carlos Gil was 0.107, is now 0.125, so just pulling away a tiny fraction from Carlos Gil. Bruno Bollido of Portugal still in third place. Arvo Talvar of Estonia now running in fourth. Confirmation of those gaps between Oliver Askew, the race leader, and Carlos Gil. Arvo Talvar fourth, Jack Bartholomew fifth, Matthew Kinsman sixth, Luke Herring seventh, Abdullah Al-Rawahi, the Oman driver from the neighbouring UAE, 8th, Philip Arscott, another USA driver, 9th, and Akinori Kikuchi of Japan has got himself into the top 10. So, calling his name, he started 22nd, is now driving in 10th place. Good effort by him. Just looking down my screen, the disappointment, Zach Clement de Mello, second in both of yesterday's races, and is not in the top 20 here. Down in, 22nd place, and Vincent Jewell, who started on the third row, outside the top 20. So, big disappointments there for them. This is lap 7 of 8, 6 laps completed. You're watching Oliver Askew, the former United States champion, national champion, and world number 3. If you have got up nice and early in the United States, well, Oliver Askew is rewarding you with a good drive here at Chiva, Valencia, Spain in Europe, where it's 5-6 minutes after 12 noon. If you're in the West Coast on Pacific time, it's far too early for you to have got up. It's, what, 4 o'clock, isn't it? Now, is that a potential passing move? Not quite, but yes it was a passing move. As our camera just cut across there, you saw that subsequently, because Carlos Gil and Oliver Askew out at front appeared to me to have traded the places, and Bruno Bollido has conceded 3rd place to Arvo Talvar, so things happening late in this race. Big changes, driving standards flag, a warning flag to Thomas Stranava of Slovakia. That may be not the first in this event. Vincent Jewell still out of the top 20, Chris Dreisping still out of the top 20, Dan Roper from last to 16th. So, getting on to the late stages. Carlos Gil glances over his shoulder. We're doing a little bit of balking now to try and get the victory. Oliver Askew not playing it safe, wants to get the victory. Carlos Gil sweeping round onto the home straight. It's a drag to the flag. And at the end of the race, Carlos Gil has held on by 0.04 of a second from Oliver Askew 2nd, Bruno Bollido 3rd, Arvo Talvar 4th, Jack Bartholomew 5th, Matthew Kinsman 6th, Philip Arscott making it 2 USA drivers in the top 7, Abdullah Al-Rawahi in 8th place, Luke Herring 9th, Akinori Kikuchi of Japan completing the top 10. The surprises, Zach Clemendemello finished 14th, although he was a lot lower than that at one time, so something of a repair job by Zach Clemendemello.